Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Kane County Board Chairman Candidate Forum hosted by the League of Women Voters of the Elgin area. My name is Carol Grom and I will be the moderator tonight. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that strives to empower voters and encourage informed participation in our democracy. One of the ways we do that is to hold candidate forums to provide voters an opportunity to hear the candidates running for election. The forums sponsored by the League give candidates for local offices a chance to present information about themselves and their candidacy. Background, skills, education, reasons for running for office, what they hope to accomplish if elected, and positions on various issues relevant to the office. Tonight's forum will not be a debate. It is intended to be an educational forum where you can learn about the candidates and hear about some of the issues. All the candidates in contested races were invited to participate in a forum. Each one was given the opportunity to fill out a candidate questionnaire on our website, and their written responses, if any, can be found in our voter guide. This evening, you will have a chance to hear from Democratic candidate Corrine Pierog and Republican candidate David Rickert. The format for today's forum will be a 3-minute opening statement, followed by 2-minute responses to written questions from the moderator, and ending with 2-minute closing statements. Our timekeeper will show the candidates when they have 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, and when their time is up. Questions for the candidates were selected from those submitted by League members. After the question and answer period, the candidates will have the opportunity to give a 2-minute closing statement, beginning in reverse order. This forum will be streamed to the League Facebook page. The recorded forum will then be available for later viewing on our Facebook page and on the League website, LWVEA.org. Welcome to our candidates, and thank you for agreeing to participate tonight. Ms. Pierog, we will begin with your 3-minute opening statement.
Thank you, and thank you to the League of Women Voters of Elgin for hosting this forum, and to the audience who decided that watching this forum is more important than watching the White Sox play this evening. My name is Corrine Pierog, and I am looking forward to becoming Kane County's next board chair. A leader helps to define the moment, the collision of an economic downturn and related income inequality, the painful cry of racial injustice, combined with a healthcare crisis, the likes of which we have never experienced. Governing Kane County in the age of COVID-19 will present issues and challenges, the likes of which we may have never faced. How can we make government functional, responsive, accountable, and transparent when faced with all these multiple intermingling crises? I have 2 advanced degrees, one of which is an MBA in Leadership and Management from Roosevelt University. A professional career in community development and board experience has prepared me for this challenge. My resume of working with higher education and managing my own consulting business, where my clients have given me the opportunity to be recognized by the United Nations for my work in healthcare, or more recently guiding a charitable foundation which is in the process of donating over $3.5 million in gifts, has led me to this opportunity of becoming Kane County's next board chair. I've lived in the county for 20 years, where, once a single mom, I purchased a fixer-upper, raised my family, and became active in a community that I am really proud to call home. From my volunteer efforts of serving on the boards of the St. Charles Housing Commission, and now as vice chair of an organization that will be contributing $2.5 million in funding to Kane County seniors, along with 2 terms on the St. Charles Board of Education, has provided me with a context from which to govern. I will not have all the answers. A leader never has all the answers, but a leader does need to bring out the best in people. During these difficult times, we need to listen to each other, guide one another, and respect each other. I understand that one of the major opportunities of this position is the development and supervision of the county's budget. The life and the people represented in that budget are not simply numbers, but must reflect the inherent values of the county. Keeping those values on the forefront define a pathway towards Kane County's future.
Thank you. Mr. Rickert, we're ready for your 3-minute opening statement, please.
Well, thank you, Carol. I'd also like to thank the Elgin League of Women Voters for the opportunity to come here and speak with you. I don't know about the Sox game. I think a lot of people would like to watch that too, but maybe they can tape that. Anyway, a successful chairman should have extensive knowledge of county operations, strong working relationships with key board members and department heads, and a thorough knowledge of employee management, budgeting, and strategic planning. As a certified public accountant, I have successfully served as your county treasurer for the past 21 years. I have a bachelor's degree in finance from Northern Illinois University, and I also have a master's degree in accounting from Roosevelt University. I have a proven track record of accomplishment and a solid reputation for working constructively with staff members, department heads, and elected officials. I've also attended approximately 1,200 board meetings and subcommittee meetings in my term in service as treasurer. I've also authored over 80 county board resolutions passed by the county board. We all realize that Kane County is dealing with the consequences of a global pandemic. Many hours have been spent by county staff in maintaining county operations, safeguarding public operations, and coordinating relief efforts with first responders, emergency management, and the health department. Kane County also faces a $14.1 million budget deficit due to revenue shortfalls and additional expenses related to COVID-19. Because of the unique challenges facing Kane County and with the support of voters, I feel I am uniquely qualified to serve as your next county board chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to begin the question and answer portion of the forum with a reminder that each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. First question will go to Ms. Pierog. What do you feel are the most important issues for the county board right now?
Oh, the most important issues are going to be the budget challenges and how we're going to prioritize our spending. After 8 years of painful cuts and the county bringing in little money, Kane County provides fewer services than the adjacent counties like DuPage and McHenry. I will make it a priority to fund the essential services being discounted by the current administration. I will support our hardworking employees with the tools they need to do their jobs. To do so, Kane County will have to consider methods to sustain costs while providing appropriate services to its constituents. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as you heard, Kane County now faces the potential of $14.6 million in budget gap. $10 million of truly is which is due to the pandemic. The remaining $4.6 million is really due to increases in anticipated expenses such as payroll, insurance, retirement, and commodities. I think we can all recognize that during a global health and economic crisis, this is certainly not the time to raise property taxes. Best practices are in order, and as Kane County continues to grow, so must the way it manages its financial obligations. Going forward, I would recommend that Kane County hires a county manager. There is a structural modification of county government to improve efficiency and promote independence by consolidating critical administrative operations in a single office responsible to the county board and serves at the will of the board. A county manager will provide a fresh look at difficult issues, point out the impact of policy decisions, and anticipate future consequences of possible alternatives. 24 counties in Illinois have already hired a county manager, including neighboring McHenry and DuPage counties. But irregardless, I'm going to make sure that I make a priority to fund essential workers being discounted by the current administration.
Thank you. Mr. Rickert, same question. What do you feel are the most important issues for the county board right now?
Okay, thank you. First, the county has a responsibility to ensure that first responders have the necessary tools they need to combat COVID-19. This includes staff, technical assistance, personal protective equipment, and other logistical support necessary to meet the mission goals as outlined by the Center for Disease Control and the state of Illinois and county healthcare experts. The county needs to partner and coordinate relief efforts with local and municipal government and other first responders. Much of these efforts are already taking place. In addition, information needs to continue to regularly be communicated in a clear and concise manner to media and the public. Second, COVID-19 relief efforts place a significant strain on county financial resources. Budgeting and cash flow management will be critical to ensure we have funding available where it can do the most good. As stated earlier, the county has a AA+ bond rating, which through my help and the help of Auditor Terry Hunt, we've been able to accomplish proper financial planning for emergencies, and the county is well positioned to meet our responsibilities. Fiscal year 2021 will present significant budget challenges. As the treasurer, I'm already supplying investment cash flow projection information to the County Finance Committee. In addition, we've shortened our investment durations in order to supply the necessary liquidity to meet our obligations. Finally, long-term damage has incurred by our nonprofit organizations, small business community. In addition, federal relief funds the county needs to develop to assist initiatives to get these organizations back on their feet. By assisting our nonprofit organizations, we will maintain a strong safety net to protect our citizens. By assisting the small business community, we will restore our sales tax base and enhance our local job market and economy. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question, I think you've probably both already touched on, but this goes first to you, Mr. Rickert. And it is, how well has the county responded to the COVID-19 crisis to maintain important services and support residents facing serious health and financial impacts?
Okay, can you repeat that question again, please?
How well has the county reacted to the COVID-19 crisis to maintain important services and support residents facing serious health and financial impacts?
Okay, thank you. Kane County has been very committed to working with our department heads and elected officials. Not only are we responsible for providing a myriad of other county services, such as fire protection, well, not fire protection, but police protection, the court system, the sheriff's office, and things that we have to do normally. But the county is also committed to working with the health department to make sure they have the proper gear, PPE equipment, and supplies necessary to meet this concern. I've worked personally on a number of issues with Barb Jeffers, the head of the health department, to ensure that she has the adequate supplies necessary to meet this challenge. In addition, I've also worked very closely with Rob Russell, our county coroner, and making sure he adequately has the supplies he needs as coroner to meet his mission goals and statement. Recently, the county has worked with Mr. Russell to develop a multi-purpose building to provide the tools necessary he needs in order to meet his obligations. By doing this and working with the county board, we've been able to bring in $93 million of CARES Act funds for the Kane County. And one of the things I'm very happy to report, as of August 24th, we are second in dispersing funds in the state of Illinois to necessary requirements to meet COVID-19. So the key message here is we have to work with our health professionals. We have to work with the state of Illinois. We continue to work hard to perform our daily statutory functions. And I think the county has done a great job doing that. Also, we need to be very cognizant of working with our nonprofit organizations to make sure they have the tools necessary to help provide relief because of the strained situation they have in providing services to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pierog, same question. How well has the county responded to the COVID-19 crisis to maintain important services and support residents facing serious health and financial impacts?
The impact of COVID-19 pandemic in Kane County has been devastating. I think we all can remember on March 11th, how people would be interacting with each other freely, and then all of a sudden the entire county shut down because we were aware that something was wrong. On March 17th, 3 confirmed cases were reported. Chairman Lawson issued an emergency declaration stating that Kane County has limited funding and resources to provide and respond to this pandemic, essentially warning residents that the county was not prepared. So first off, I believe that the duty of the chair is to ensure that there is a pandemic plan in place, and the plan should have been funded. 7 months later, here we are, 12,714 cases, 327 deaths in Kane County. During the critical first months of the pandemic, Kane County leadership was woefully ineffective in handling this healthcare crisis. In April, the county received $93 million from U.S. CARES Act. And instead of using county board members, public health and economic experts, turning to the public for assistance and guidance, the board chair installed a hand-picked partisan committee, which included my opponent. Part of being a leader means bringing a diverse group of minds to the table. And as chair, I will listen to public health experts in dealing with public health crises. In June, the task force was sanctioned for holding closed-door meetings and dissolved by the county board. With the December 30th deadline to spend the award, the current committee has taken control and has just released a small fraction of its grants for small businesses and local not-for-profits. The most important role of the county board chair in this crisis is to provide the resources and support to struggling people. The current administration, the leadership, has failed miserably in that regard.
Thank you. Next question goes to Ms. Pierog. How do you plan to maintain Kane's stable financial condition and above average credit rating faced with a pandemic adversely impacting all forms of income, a recession, and greater service demands?
It's an amazing question and quite a challenge. First of all, I will plan to hold the line on taxes. I think we can all recognize that during a global health economic crisis, this is not the time to raise property taxes. When I served on the D303 school board, we were just coming out of the Great Recession. Income was low, taxes were high, and yet I fought hard and won to make sure that those taxes were actually reduced, and they stayed the lowest taxing district in Kane County for 10 years. But there are other ways to increase Kane County's tax revenue besides taxing property. The county needs to look at other sources of revenue. Several months ago, the county board voted to oppose the expansion of cannabis dispensaries and cultivation centers in the unincorporated areas of Kane County. In my opinion, this decision should be reversed. Junior colleges throughout Illinois have recognized the need for experienced and trained professionals to work in this growing field. For example, Illinois Valley Community College, where I once taught, is providing a cannabis production certificate program. The program will cover soil fertility, pest management, and provide internships. Similarly, Oakton Community College is offering a certificate to become a cannabis dispensary and patient care specialist. Wabansie or Elgin Community College can do the same. Businesses and jobs follow an educated workforce, and we can grow that workforce in our local colleges by embracing changing times. I would also suggest that the county board revisits its taxes on cannabis. This county board voted to reduce taxable revenue on cannabis sales from 3 to 2.5%, and also voted on reducing sales tax on any future cannabis-related businesses in the unincorporated area of the county to 3.25%, which is less than the 3.5% allowed by the state.
Thank you. Mr. Rickert, same question. How do you plan to maintain Kane's stable financial condition and above average credit rating faced with a pandemic adversely impacting all forms of income, a recession, and greater service demands?
Well, thank you. I think as county treasurer for the past 21 years, I'm uniquely suited to be the person to be able to do that. I've worked very closely with Chairman Lawson and Auditor Hunt and Finance Director Joanzik on our budgetary process. We're very proud over the last 8 years, we've been able to freeze the levy for taxpayers in Kane County. In addition, we've earned a AA+ bond rating, and I think it's very important we want to maintain that high bond rating because it means our borrowing rate costs are a lot less by doing so. We also fully fund our pensions. It's something we're very proud of, and the budget has been frozen. We meet our budget obligations. Finally, this year, one of the things I'm very proud of is I had legislation passed for the, in Illinois, we have a document that we all have to follow as financial professionals. It's called the Public Funds Investment Act. I was able to get modifications made, passed through the Democratic legislature to improve the model on how we invest money. Last year in Kane County, we earned $6.4 million for the taxpayers because of investment initiatives that I implemented. We have a $14.1 million budget deficit. About $5 million of that will be able to be plugged with CARES Act funds because a lot of those are expenses related to the COVID-19 issue we're facing. We also have excellent credit rating and we've paid down debt. Well, one of the things we're not going to be able to do next year is pay down debt. One area where we've had a lot of success at the county, and I got to really look at Tom Hartwell, our circuit clerk, and things I've done in my office is through technology, we've been able to reduce cost. Probably the biggest area where we have an opportunity to save money is on the judicial side by having remote bond call and having a number of efficiencies implemented into the court system. We've been able to save a lot of money. We also have a sheriff and Sheriff Kane who's very progressive on cutting costs and working with the judiciary system to make it more efficient. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question goes first to Mr. Rickert. What are your top 3 priorities if elected?
Well, I have 4, but I'll try to squeeze them in really quickly here.
You can squeeze in 4.
Now, first and foremost, the top priority obviously is the health and welfare of our citizens. By ensuring the necessary personnel and equipment are provided to our first responders is of paramount importance. Second, we need to ensure that all county statutory mandates are still being met. This is very important because we have a responsibility not only by statute, but to our citizens to make sure the jobs we were elected to do, we're doing those duties. Third, we need to facilitate economic relief efforts to our citizens. The local business community, particularly the restaurant and small business community in Kane County, have been very adversely hit. We look at the restaurant industry alone could potentially lose 25% of the businesses in Kane County. We need to reach out and help them and try to find them to get away through this. The problem is if we don't, all that sales tax we're going to lose for the county, and we don't want to have to go back to taxpayers and ask to increase property taxes. I have a very proud record and tradition of being very fiscally responsible, and the county has a record of 8 years of a frozen levy, and with my leadership, we're going to do everything we can to run the county efficiently. And for number 4, we need to prepare a long-term strategic economic recovery plan that will assist with a speedy recovery, not only for our citizens, but for our small businesses and for the nonprofit organizations that are stretched to the limit dealing with COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pierog, same question. What are your top 3 priorities if elected?
I've already mentioned one of them, and that is hiring a county manager. A county manager will allow the county board chair to lead, to be able to go directly out to the community to find out what those issues are, their needs, their concerns, by speaking not only to constituents, but also to civic leaders and mayors. Second one is protecting the environment, and I hope we have this question as I can answer this later on. The 2030, the water aquifers in western part of Kane County are determined to be dried up, and how we're going to work with intergovernmental relations to be able to develop a systemic plan to be able to fix that so that we can continue our growth, economic growth in the western part of Kane County has got to be addressed. It's almost a critical emergency. We have to make sure also that we work towards social and racial inclusion in the county, to welcome diversity, not only just diversity in economic opportunities, but diversity in leadership. Mind you, there's only one African American who will be on the Kane County Board. That is not representative of the county. The second is a set-aside program, which is going to address economic opportunity. I want to make sure that we allow 20% of anything that we give out, business that occurs in Kane County. We have a set-aside program for minority, women, veteran, disabled-owned businesses, and these are individuals who have certificates in this. Sometimes can take 2 years, but we allow them the opportunity to be competitive, so that if we're spending money in Kane County, for Kane County, that our residents have a chance to earn that money, which will establish and grow small businesses.
Thank you. This next question goes first to Ms. Pierog. Recently, there have been issues raised concerning the structure and functioning of the Kane County Board, Board Chairman, and county employees. What is your understanding of the role of the County Board Chairman?
County Board Chairman, first of all, has to take the leadership of Kane County. It has to be able to work well with 24 unique individuals. Each one of those unique individuals represent a different community who has a subtext, a desire, a need. The needs in Elgin are certainly different from the needs in Aurora, although you may find similarities. In order to best guide those needs and understand those needs, I'm going to propose that the county board members, along with myself, have general meetings once a month to meet without agenda, to talk to members of the community, to ask for their counsel, to ask for their advice, to get an idea of what their needs are. The county board chair has to manage a small amount of the county. There's different department heads as well as other elected officials, and each one of those has their own unique budgets. But in order to understand what those budgets are and why they're so important, you have to get to know the work of the people who work there. You have to know what the desires are and the goals of each one of those elected officials, so that you can bring back that information to the county board as you begin to plan the budget, being able to develop what those goals, sustainable goals are, because you can't achieve it all at the same time, and move forward with adequate solutions, funding solutions, to achieve those opportunities for growth in Kane County. You cannot have preconceived notions on how that works, because what's very important, and I've learned this with working with international healthcare, is that you have to listen to the whispers of the community. You have to listen to the quiet voices. You have to be able to talk to the janitor as well as to the mayor of Aurora. You've got to understand what the context is so that you can bring those voices forward to guide the 24 members of the county board.
Thank you. Mr. Rickert, same question. What is your understanding of the role of the County Board Chairman?
The County Board Chairman is a county-wide elected official. The chairman serves as the chief executive officer of the county board, supervising the implementation of board policies and programs. The chairman also chairs the county board meetings, prepares the agenda, schedules meetings of the board, and oversees the preparation and proposed annual budget. And I can't emphasize enough the preparation of the proposed annual budget. That's a very lengthy, time-consuming process. It begins in May and ends up in November. And that's probably more than 50% of the responsibility and job of what the chairman does is handling financial issues. And the importance is weighed by the fact that we are a county of limited resources. Our taxpayers expect us to run efficient operations, and we do so. And we've also had an efficiency audit done at the county, which gave us high marks for our ability to run our offices in an efficient manner. And also, I can't stress enough, it's very important that you have positive working relationships with the other elected officials, the department heads, and staff. And that's something I really pride myself on. I've been a key member of the tax group at the county, which works with the county clerk and the supervisor of assessments to make sure we take proactive rather than reactive stances on issues. Technology is another area. Kane County is very proactive in using technology to help reduce cost at the county. I kind of veer off track a little bit, so let me get back to the duties of the chairman. The chairman also sits on the Liquor Commission for the unincorporated areas of Kane County. A successful chairman should have extensive knowledge of county operations and the working relationships with the board members they work with. And you know, that's probably one of the areas where I have the greatest strength. With my 21 years of experience at the county, I've known a number of these people for a very long time and have worked very closely with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question goes first to Mr. Rickert. Are there any structural or organizational changes you would like to see in how Kane County functions?
One area that we really have to look at is, and we are going to be challenged next year with budgetary issues. We're going to have to find ways to be creative, to work outside the box, and to accomplish things that we haven't been able to accomplish before COVID-19. I really want to spend a lot of time working with Sheriff Kane. He has some very progressive ideas on how we can work with the jail system. As you can imagine, incarceration is a very expensive process for the county. And if we could find ways to serve our community and not incarcerate people, but have diversion programs available for those with mental health issues and those with addiction problems, there are better ways to provide help for those individuals than incarceration. So first and foremost, I'd like to really enhance that relationship in working with Sheriff Kane. Another area where I think we have a tremendous opportunity to work in a productive manner because of COVID-19, a lot of our operations, particularly on the judicial side, have had to be modified in order to be compliant with health restrictions and to enable our court system to work. One thing that really comes to mind that I'm kind of pleased with is we have remote bond call, which means we don't have to escort prisoners from the jail system to the judicial system to get in front of a judge to have a hearing related to their case. We can do that remotely, much like we're doing right now with a Zoom meeting. So those are some great ways we can look at to save money. One area where I really think we have some opportunity is to look at how we have meetings and how we involve the community. One thing that I would really like to do, and we already have a meeting where we involve the public, it's called the Committee of the Whole. I would like to have the Committee of the Whole meetings at night so people that are working can come after work, attend a meeting and participate in the process and learn about what's going on at the county. I think that would be very productive. But of course, my main focus is going to be budgetary matters because that's the main problem we have right now is dealing with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pierog, same question. Are there any structural or organizational changes you would like to see in how Kane County functions?
Let's start with the budget. He left with that, and I'd like to lead with that. My focus on budget management, of course, is fiscal responsibility. That's the #1 focus. But it's not the numbers that I'm looking at. It's how those numbers are used. It's the people behind those numbers. And that has, to me, in my opinion, and what I have found out, has been sadly missing. Is not responsive truly to the needs. For instance, 2 years ago, there was a huge strike that went on for 43 days because our judicial workers desired a pay raise over a 15-year period of steps. It takes them 15 years to get up to their maximum salary, and these are working men and working women, some of them with master's degrees, who went on strike. There was such disregard and irregard for their needs and their concerns. And why was that? Because the budget was held tight. It was held like this. Instead of talking to them and paying them a modest 1% pay raise. And what happened? 50% of them left, as they should. The other issues, let's take a look at the assistant state's attorneys who are making $35,000 a year, maybe $37,000 a year. So a budget has got to be responsive to the needs of the county, because if you continue to have high turnover, if we are a training ground to those individuals, the cost of personnel is much greater because of the training that has to happen and the constant turnover. And what happens is that the county gets a bad reputation. People will work there for a short period of time and not for a long period of time, because they can't afford to work there anymore.
Thank you. Next question goes to Ms. Pierog first. How are your background and skills conducive to leading and managing Kane County's large, complex organization with 24 board members, 12 direct reports, 4 indirect, and 11 elected members?
Well, I have worked collaboratively my whole life, and it is a learned skill. It's not something that you can pick up overnight. I started out my career as a teacher, and with my education, I became a university professor, and then I went on to develop an internship program that started out from a department and went on to an entire university. Difference between teaching and leading is the fact with teaching, you tell, people learn. With lead, you guide. You can't tell, you encourage. You bring perspective and ideas. You bring thoughts, concerns, and you listen. You actively listen to what people have to say. And then you try to bring out the best in those individuals so they've got the tools and the resources to be able to do their jobs effectively. Whether it's new computers, whether it's a new van, whether it's having that pay raise that I talked about. What are the concerns and needs, and how can you go about developing that? You also have to be able to give up control. You cannot control everything, and nor should you, because when you work in diverse manner, when you work collaboratively, you don't have the solution. You can be the guide, but together with diverse opinions, you come up with the best solution that satisfies all, some not so much, some more so. But it takes that middle ground of listening to the voices and being able to blend it into one orchestrated voice. I have those skills, and it's training that I have had. It's skills that I have developed over the years, and I have an expertise in working with boards, because that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years.
Thank you. Mr. Rickert, same question. How are your background and skills conducive to leading and managing Kane County's large, complex organization with 24 board members, 12 direct reports, 4 indirect, and 11 elected members?
You know, you raise a very interesting and important question. And Kane County is a large, complex county. There's a lot to learn. I'm going to say, actually, my opponent made some points that I actually agree with. This is a learned skill. It takes time. It takes effort. It's not an overnight process. And I think that's where my 21 years of experience working for the county really gives me a huge advantage. And because a lot of those relationships already exist. I have regular meetings with the county clerk, Mr. Cunningham, to talk about issues facing his office and the financial concerns he has, and working with him to try to find creative solutions to solve those problems. I spent a significant amount of time working with Rob Russell, the coroner, making sure he was able to get the much needed personal protective equipment and supplies for the coroner's office to help deal with the COVID-19 crisis. I was also fairly instrumental with providing the financing necessary to build the multi-purpose building that he currently utilizes with the sheriff. And that was kind of a key there too, is we just didn't go out and build a coroner's building. We built a building that could be used for multiple purposes to efficiently meet that need and make sure multiple offices were able to use that. You only get that with cooperation. And that is so key to being a very good chairman, is being able to have those relationships, work with people, and get things done. One of the things I'm very proud of is we set up a tax group at Kane County to handle the very complex issues related with the tax group. And we work on issues proactively rather than reactively, which saves a lot of money for the county. As a CPA, I am well suited to deal with financial issues and have the vast amount of experience. Matter of fact, I am the senior countywide official at the county, and I plan to utilize that vast knowledge to work with people in a constructive manner and listen to their concerns and solve problems.
Thank you. This next question goes back to you, Mr. Rickert. In addition to the monthly board meetings, multiple committee meetings and staff reports require a significant time commitment. If elected, will this be your full-time job, or will you also be employed elsewhere?
Well, as county treasurer, I've served as your treasurer for 21 years, and this is my full-time job. I'm assuming if I'm blessed by the voters on election day, I will hand in the keys. The board will select a new treasurer, and I will fulfill the role as chairman as a full-time person to provide for those wants and needs for the taxpayers. I think the taxpayers deserve nothing less than a full-time chairman. And I think a lot of people fail to realize the number of hats and roles that the chairman provides. It's a very complex position, requires a huge time and a time commitment. There are plenty of nights and weekends where there's work done. I currently have that as my job as treasurer, where I'm spending an inordinate amount of time at the county working on projects that the public just never sees. And I'm ready, willing, and able to make that commitment. And more importantly, I can make that commitment and perform that job without the assistance of hiring an administrator to pick up a lot of the functions for me. I can do that and perform that role myself. This is why most of the countywide elected officials are in supporting my campaign and think that I will do a good job and fulfill that role well. You have to have good cooperation and work well with people. You also have to do so in a way that brings in the public, that listens to their needs, and be a problem solver. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pierog, same question. In addition to the monthly board meetings, multiple committee meetings and staff reports require a significant time commitment. If elected, will this be your full-time job, or will you also be employed elsewhere?
Oh, of course, it'll be a full-time job. It'll be an honor to serve. Kane County is a complex, growing community. Because of COVID-19, we anticipate that there's going to be significant growth going forward. If I were to sit behind the desk and study and manage that budget, and that's my perspective, you cannot lead. You have to be able to go out and once again, know what's going on. Not only attend the committee meetings, but know the backstory to those committee meetings, to be able to guide, to be able to go out to business owners, to developers, to real estate people, to the not-for-profits, and ask them, what is their critical needs and what can the county do? And that's what I've been doing. For the last year and a half, I've been knocking on doors, both to voters as well as to leaders. And after we introduce ourselves, my next question is, what can the county do for you? And I have gotten so many different responses, but I tell you, the very first time when I ask that question, people sit back and they go, no one has ever asked me that question before. No leader from the county has approached them, not saying, this is what I want you to do, but what can I do for you? I went knocking on one of those doors last Saturday, and I was talking to a gentleman who had an MPA from Northern Illinois University. Now, Northern Illinois also has a program that talks about the county manager and why it's so important and why 24 other counties here in Illinois have already established a county manager relationship. And after I talked to him, and admittedly a Republican, he told me, I'm voting for you because that'll allow you to lead.
Thank you. Next question goes back to Ms. Pierog. Would you support reducing the size of the Kane County Board from 24 to 18 to cut costs? And why or why not?
10 years ago, that was presented, county board, as an option, and they voted it down. And the reason why they voted it down is not because of economic issues, but because of concerns of against structural change. However, it is very important that that happens and we start considering it. And it happens every 10 years. So we're going to be talking about it again next year after the election cycle and after the census gets done. According to Illinois state law, as the county expands in population, the board decreases. Now, it should most likely go down to 18, but that's too quick, it's too soon. You can't take a ship of state and go too far left, too far right. You have to make sure that it's centered and you keep it focused and you keep it moderate. So I would suggest that the county board considers, through redistricting, going down to 22 and then eventually going down to 20, taking a slow, moderate change. And it's not just to save money, although county board members can get up to $17,000 in healthcare coverage, which is fine if they need it. I'm not going to argue with that at all because healthcare is right and everyone should have healthcare insurance. However, because the county board is expanding, we want to make sure, or the county is expanding, we want to make sure that there is equitable representation. And I would like to have each one of the county board members have a greater say on what that representation is. So the smaller the board, the greater their responsibility and the greater impact that they can have upon their communities.
Thank you. Mr. Rickert, same question. Would you support reducing the size of the Kane County Board from 24 to 18 to cut costs? And why or why not?
Well, I would first like to jump in and address a few quick issues to correct history. Our prior chairman, Ms. McConaughey, actually did reduce the size of the board by 2 from 26 to 24. So I just want to clarify that issue. I think it's very important to sit down and work with the county board and make sure, and Ms. Pierog correctly pointed out, we want to make sure not only that we have concentric districts that respect political boundaries and geographic boundaries also, but we want to make sure that we have appropriate population demographics represented in our county. Kane County is a very diverse county, and we want to ensure that there's proper representation for everyone in the county. I would sit down and work with members of the board. I would form a committee to examine this. This is what we did 10 years ago. I feel that a reduction is necessary for a number of reasons, but most importantly, because state statute requires, as we hit a certain population number, I believe that's 750,000, we have to reduce the size of the county board to 16. And we don't want to do that all at once because that would be detrimental to the service of the public. This is an area where me and Ms. Pierog actually agree. I think 2 would probably be an appropriate number. That's a decision that the board would make. I think we could work with them on that. Usually the way we do that is we look for retiring county board members to provide consideration to make sure we're not playing politics with the process, but being fair and making sure we're representing all the interests at that committee meeting and coming up with fair concentric maps that represent the county. Right now we have an even split between Democrats and Republicans, and I think we work very well together. And most of the issues that face the county board are not partisan issues, but issues of serving the public. And I think our board members are committed to doing that. So I think we need to be respectful and work to serve our constituents and continue to reduce those costs by reducing the board by 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rickert, next one goes to you first. To balance the budget, are you more likely to advocate for raising taxes or reducing services? And can you give some examples for saving costs, service changes, or new sources of revenue?
Well, first we have to look at what we have in Kane County right now. We run very lean budgets already. I think there would be great difficulty with cutting our services, because remember, we have statutory obligations we have to meet by law. And if we fail to meet those obligations, the risk to the county from doing so would be more detrimental than the cuts that would entail. So in other words, what we would have to do is we have to be creative. Clearly, going forward, freezing the tax levy indefinitely probably will have to be looked at from a year-to-year basis to see what we can do. We've already lowered or frozen the levy for 8 years, which means we do have a lean budget. One area of opportunity, like I talked about before, is looking at how we do things in the county and what can we do better, what can we do more efficiently. One area where I've looked at, talking with the state's attorney's office, working with current board members, and really talking with the attorneys at the civil division, liability mitigation. You're probably wondering, that's a very long word. What does that actually mean? When the county does not do what it's supposed to do properly, we are subject to lawsuits and we lose money. And because the county is a governmental organization, the courts are fairly severe in punishing the county when it's not doing what it's supposed to do correctly. I look at how we treat our employees. We need to make sure we follow OSHA requirements. We need to make sure that when an employee is let go, it's done properly so we don't entail lawsuits. We had a fairly high-level department head get let go, and because of the way that incurred, it resulted to liability to the county. We had a fairly significant lawsuit involving the Maxim facility out in Campton that caused the county to incur some fairly significant losses. So those are what I call the easy, low-hanging fruit. These are things I'm going to look at. I wish I had a lot more time to talk about this, but my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pierog, same question. To balance the budget, are you more likely to advocate for raising taxes or reducing services? And can you give some examples for saving costs, service changes, or new sources of revenue?
Well, I already highlighted one of the areas of saving costs is certainly to take better care of one's personnel, to make sure that they are rewarded properly, paid properly, and respected properly. Harassing work environments, which have occurred recently, have no place in Kane County. Sexual harassment has no place in Kane County, and racial harassment has no place in Kane County. And I'm not accusing anybody of that, but I want to make sure that under my watch, that is not going to happen. And that will save money. That'll save efficiency. That'll save work. People will like coming to work. They'll enjoy coming to work. And you won't hear the silent whispers about, I'm looking for another job. Kane County has a high turnover rate, and that costs real money. The second thing I'd like to talk about is new opportunities. And I mentioned those briefly as well. Let's go back to cannabis. And I know people go, oh, cannabis, but it can bring significant amount of new money into the county. Not only can we start leveling the taxes of what the state allows, and that would have to be done at 1/4 of a point until it can get to the maximum amount by state law. But the other thing that can happen is that we can now starting to realize the additional value that these kinds of user fees will allow. Kane County is missing out on a vital and necessary income stream because 8% of all taxes that are paid through the county through cannabis is returned back to the county to help with the law enforcement. The other thing is sports betting, which is literally just started. And let me give you these numbers. Can generate up to $73 million proposed now in Illinois. But this will also have a positive impact upon Kane County. For example, casinos in Cook County, and I'll be really quick, pay an extra 2% sports betting tax to the county. And Rivers Casino sent an additional $47,611 in just a month to Cook County. Think of what this opportunity is going to be brought back to Kane County.
Thank you. The final question goes first to Ms. Pierog. How many county board meetings have you attended in the past year?
Oh, well, unlike the chairman who keeps a head count, I attend. Sometimes I listen to 2 or 3 a day. But it takes a long time to be able to get the current meetings because they're not posted online. Because of COVID-19, as you can fully respect, I'm not able to attend every meeting, nor should I have to, but I certainly attend virtually. But it takes sometimes several weeks for that meeting to come up. So I'm fully aware of what's happening at all areas, except for the Forest Preserve District, which doesn't have any of its meetings posted at all online. So I'm aware, I study, I'm able to listen to those meetings 2 or 3 times and really get a chance to be effective and knowledgeable of what's going on. I would not go into a job without knowing what happened before me, because that kind of context and that information is critically and vitally important.
Thank you. Mr. Rickert, same question. How many county board meetings have you attended in the past year?
Would that include just board meetings or subcommittee meetings also? I'm gonna answer that, assume it includes subcommittees also. I attend the Public Service Committee meeting, Finance Committee meeting, Executive Committee meetings, County Board meetings, Committee of the Whole meetings, Admin and Development meetings, if not in person because of COVID-19, remotely. Like I've already detailed earlier, I've attended just a conservative estimate over 1,200 meetings in my tenure in service as county treasurer. I think it's very important, and these meetings those are just meetings of the county board and associated board members. I also attend significant numbers of meetings with the tax group, with the meetings with the auditor and finance director related to financing and investments for the county. I have regular meetings with the state's attorney's office to discuss legal issues facing the county related to my office and related to the county in general. I also have meetings with the coroner. I've had discussions with the sheriff. I've had phone conversations and meetings with a variety of different department heads on a variety of different issues. One of the programs we've implemented just recently is called the KEEP program, which is a way to provide financing through the tax collection process to worthy organizations that want to provide long-term financing related to the health, welfare, and safety of our citizens. So we've had numerous meetings related to that. I've been involved with the CARES Act Committee and the Coronavirus Relief Fund Committee, numerous meetings related to that. And I'm probably missing 50 to 60% of what I attend. And in fairness to Ms. Pierog, I'm a full-time county officer and I'm there all the time. So I've attended a wealth of meetings and have so for the past 21 years and will continue to do so as chairman.
Thank you both for answering our questions. At this time, we're going to move to the 2-minute closing statements where you may make your case as well as touch on any points that you didn't get a chance to speak to earlier. We'll begin with Mr. Rickert.
Okay, thank you. My first priority as chairman is the safety of our citizens and to quickly guide our local and county economy back to prosperity and make COVID-19 a bad but distant memory. The small business community needs a county chairman with knowledge, experience to deal with complex financial and economic issues. Next, county employees and taxpayers need a chairman that can close a $14.1 million budget gap without cutting necessary services or overburdening fiscally struggling taxpayers. As a certified public accountant with over 20 years experience as county treasurer, I can begin that effort today. Kane County is unique in that county board members are also Forest Preserve commissioners. This relationship ensures that policies each complement the other. This is why it's so critical to elect a county board chairman who places a priority on environmental issues. I have a proven track record of farmland preservation, preserving open space, and water conservation. This is why I am endorsed by Forest Preserve President Mike Kenyon. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the city of Elgin, which I'm home to, for this event tonight. I would also like to thank the voters of Kane County and urge you to vote on Election Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pierog, your closing statement.
Thank you. And I'm going to go quickly before my closing statement to go back to the issue of water. The 2020 Land Management Report clearly indicates that the aquifers in Kane County, as I mentioned previously, are going to be compromised. In 2030, they're going to be starting to dry up. Now, deeper wells can be drilled and already are in the western part of Kane County, but that water is truly harsh with occurring chemicals like radium and arsenic. The stewardship of Kane County is one of the critical issues we have to face, and it's going to take a cooperative, multi-governmental approach, which I've already been talking to mayors about this. Elected, I'm going to initiate a task force that will address quickly this critical issue, and that's going to start in January, working with water engineers, environmental experts, and land use planners, local government officials, and of course the county board. A public dialogue must begin around the planning and the management of streams, lakes, wetlands, floodplains, stormwater, and wastewater throughout the entire county. I stand here, or sit here, as an independent whose supports comes from the community. I stand for all of Kane County, not just a representative of a political party. The 130 individual campaign contributions I have received reflect the concerns and values of a variety of different perspectives and truly a variety of different political beliefs. Kane County is not a business, it's a government that welcomes you at birth, supports you as you grow, gives you opportunities to enjoy nature, and guides you if you fall off the track. Kane County's government is about people. Back in April, Kane County received $93 million in government aid. My opponent was part of a hand-picked partisan task force that failed to deliver 1 cent in relief to struggling Kane County residents until the committee was taken over by the county board and replaced with new members. Frontline workers need to be supported, and I'm planning on doing that and respect our workers elected to Kane County Board Chair.
Thank you. I want to thank you both for participating in this candidate forum and giving the voters a chance to hear your views. For more information on these and other candidates, check the voter guide on our website, LWVELginarea.org. That concludes today's candidate forum. I want to thank Corrine Pierog and David Rickert for agreeing to participate in this candidate forum. And I want to thank the league members who worked to provide this virtual forum to the voters. Thanks also to the voters who take the time to watch these forums and learn about the candidates in order to make an informed choice. If you have applied for a vote by mail ballot, they will be mailed out beginning September 24th. Voting early in person at specified early voting sites begins on October 19th, and voting on election day at your regular polling place will of course be on November 3rd. If you plan to vote early, please note that different sites are open different hours, and there may be changes this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. You can check the Kane County Elections website for any updates there. We hope that this candidate forum presented as a public service by the League of Women Voters has been helpful. If you are interested in joining the Elgin Area League of Women Voters or supporting the work that we do, please contact us at our website, lwvelginarea.org. League membership is open to men as well as women, and we welcome anyone interested in issues, voter registration, and elections. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.